Hey guys, welcome back.
What up?
It is.
Part 4
What it is.
of our Intelligent Idea Talkers podcast
What it is.
2.0
Yeah.
What it is.
2019.
Hmm.
Alright, so I guess in this segment we're going to talk about Ralph Northam,
The Virginia's current governor,
state
Ralph
governor.
Ralph Northam.
In the Confederate state.
Yeah,
So-
this was a Confederate capital.
Yeah, true that. True that. People don't think of Virginia, I guess we don't, as being the South, because it's not the deep South, but
Yeah.
this was the Confederate capital of the country. And I saw some video I was watching. I had time to watch listen to a lot of audiobooks and like a lot of lectures and stuff working at night. And they're talking about how DC was actually a hotbed. People don't think DC is like a racist town, especially back during slavery times. But when DC was a hotbed for people being kidnapped and sold into slavery back in the day. I mean, DC, like Alexandria area,
What was that book?
was a hotbed because that's like the
12 Years a Slave.
right.
That happened in D.C.
It's kind of like the political line of where it's racist below this point. It's not you're free above this point.
Yep.
But
That's what it'll get you.
I heard a lot of people were kidnapped in DC, man. So I'm not even surprised. Like it's crazy. Still racism is alive and well.
Yeah.
Alive and well in 2019.
So in reference to that,
Are black people racist?
let's not get off topic. Damn right. But
Really?
so recently, Ralph Northam, a Virginia governor, was exposed. I don't know who released somebody posted a photo of him in 1981 in his school's 1984 med school yearbook, where he was wearing blackface. Or either he was in a photo with a person dressed in blackface and the other person dressed as a KKK member. I think he says he was the one in the blackface, and then he denied it. Then after that, he refused to, after being shamed and called for his resignation. He refused to resign and said he just won't run in the next term. So that's what happened going on so far.
Right.
So right now we're posing a number of questions surrounding this topic. Like one, what do black people feel about this? Right, us, as you can see, being of the race of black
Melanated
people,
skin.
melanated peoples. You know what I'm saying? Hershey.
Colored.
So I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
It said that the photograph, which was obtained by CNN, appears in the 1984 yearbook for Eastern Virginia Medical School. Northam did not say whether he was wearing the KKK outfit or the blackface. Is it worse if he was wearing one over the other?
Yes.
Is it worse if he was wearing a blackface over the KKK?
No.
I would say yes.
The KKK over the blackface.
I would say the blackface is worse.
Really?
Like if he's the one dressed in blackface, because that's a mockery. At least the KKK, I expect that shit. If I see the hood and the robe, I'm like, okay,
That's a mockery.
it's a racist organization. You wearing a blackface, that means you're mocking a people's. 1981 is
That's a good point. Yeah, I
it's
didn't
about
know
a
about
decade
that.
removed from civil rights and the assassination of MLK and John Kennedy and his brother, the other Kennedy. What was his name?
Robert Kennedy.
Robert, yeah.
It was J.F.
Okay,
Kennedy and Robert Kennedy.
yeah. So it's about a decade removed, 1981, but that's still really insensitive, man. For you to be dressed in blackface.
Yeah, I mean, that's
But
what they mockery.
can we zoom in on the picture? Do you have like the big lips? Anything like that?
It's kind of just like a,
Look like
kind of just.
I
it's
wonder
kinda
which
like-
one he
He's
is.
just smiling.
I wonder which one he is in
It's
that
his
joint.
teeth in
Really,
that joint.
which one is it?
You can't even see his eyeballs unless that one.
You might be
glinty eye.
right, you. They might be equally as bad. Now look at that shit. Look at that picture, dog.
I mean, like,
So
he
if that's
got a
him,
hand.
is that worse?
And he got an afro.
I say it's worse.
Dang.
I say
Yeah.
it's blackface, man. Because like I said,
And he got a bow
it's
tie.
mockery.
Mhm.
There you
Like it's a mockery, man.
It is,
you're
straight up
making fun.
mockery.
Like I said, that'd be like me, putting on a white face and
We're putting on a pair of suspenders. and
yeah,
shit.
no
Yeah.
suspenders, some daggone.
Look in your hair.
That'd be like me putting on a white face and a daggone, plaid. You know what I'm saying?
And the polo shirt with the button all the
Right,
way to the
with
top.
With combing his hair over and shit.
It was hair over with some boots in it and some
Right,
daggone.
get him parked down that joint and comb this string to this side.
Yeah,
and this
on the
side.
other side there, and then me walking there and talking like, "Hey, Billy," and
Yeah.
things like that.
Calling everybody sport.
Yeah, like, hey,
Yeah,
Billy.
what? Hey, sport is a white word.
Like, it's a sport.
We're not racist here on the Intelligent Truckers podcast.
like-
though.
I am all no, I'm just kidding. I ain't racist.
We're just racially conscious. That's what it is.
But like either way, like if you do something like that, you put on any kind of any kind of thing that represents another nationality, and then poke fun at
For
it.
Halloween, assuming it's Halloween.
I wouldn't believe. I
I
wouldn't
hope this is for
assume-
Halloween.
Right.
I wouldn't even assume that's Halloween because and then you think about the past history of that blackface and what they used to do back then for entertainment.
Right.
They would pose. All these white folk would put on a black face and then try to quote unquote pose as us. They got the big lips and everything like that.
I think in this day and age,
Or even media, how they used to portray black people in the media, on the TV shows. Like what was one of the first feature movies was Birth of a Nation, in which the black man in that film was the villain, and everything bad in that movie was black-faced. It was a white guy in blackface, and he was raping women and killing people and
acting stupid and all
and,
that
and
shit.
acting goofy and stupid. Like
I seen a documentary about that movie.
yeah, like that was blackface. That's what they did to defame black people.
And then, like I said, even now, talking about defaming the black face. I'm pretty sure y'all heard about this guy that went around and did a series of crimes and robberies, but he put on this black mask and put. I mean, he looked like a black person when they had the camera shot. He had the shades right there, and blackface totally covered, so you couldn't see any kind of white on him. It was all perfectly black, and he had the hat, the hair color, so you would automatically.
Now, is that racist or is that a good getaway costume?
Both.
I think
It's
both.
both.
Because that's kind of cool. I think I know what you're talking about. I think I remember seeing that picture. Yeah.
I saw a picture of it sometime 2 days ago.
That was genius.
That's just. I mean, that's genius.
I got them looking for the wrong race. After I robbed some race.
Walk
by the police.
Right. Hey, sport. Yeah. He walking like Spider-Man in that joint. Remember Spider-Man in the third one when he lost his powers? I think it was like he was dancing outside the little shop.
Either way, he took a black face, a mask that was portrayed a black person, again putting a black mark on a spot, I should say, on black people as being robbers all the time. You know what I'm saying? And they were looking for a black person because automatically assuming is a black person doing robberies.
Again, as far as this governor goes, this is 1981 when he did it. We were a lot less socially, politically, racially sensitive back then. There were certain
less
terms.
than now, definitely. But this is still after the civil rights movement and after the 70s.
And things that you could do on TV that you can't do nowadays. Yeah. So it is a little bit different. But as long as in the vein of R. Kelly, in the vein of Bill Cosby, if we're punishing people for the sins of the past, this dude should definitely resign.
I definitely agree.
You are the governor,
Democratic governor who won
for a state,
in a mixed state like Virginia,
and it shows you in a photo with a clearly racist getup, whether you were dressed in blackface or KKK. Still, you have to resign, man. You can't. That's a black eye on. I'm surprised his
team,
peers don't push him out. You know what I mean?
I think because here's the thing. I think everybody tried to. He's just like, nah, son.
They didn't try hard enough.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I think it has to be his choice to retire, right? He didn't do anything illegal.
Yeah, he didn't do anything illegal, so they can't force him to leave or something like this. So he's just like, I'm not gonna resign. But he did say he won't run again, which is, I guess, it's something. But
what kind of standard are you setting? Like, how are you gonna live out how are you gonna maintain the rest of your term in office? Like, any black person you have working underneath you should look at you with a side eye now. Like, you dressed in blackface, bro. You know what I mean? You thought that was funny?
I don't think he probably cares. He just let them go and then keep it moving.
Speaking of black people working,
he's not all powerful. He's only a governor.
So he can find who was working for him.
That's true.
Speaking of black people working under him, so the next person in line that would taking his position as governor, interim until next election, would have been lieutenant governor, and I think his last name is I lost his name. Franklin. I think it was Franklin or.
What's the governor do? What's his job?
The governor, I don't know. Pause. Man.
Governor.
Yep. That's definitely one of these guys.
Justin Fairfax. All right, so back up. So the next person who was taking his position, Justin Fairfax, like probably a week after this came out, the story came out about him, and accusations came out about sexual harassment or sexual assault. Actually, it was a sexual assault that came out against him by a colleague that happened. I think he was in college or a long like years and years ago when he was at there was a convention for helping another person get elected, candidate. Something was going on anyway. They were at a hotel, and he was. The accusation came out from a woman who said that he forced her to, like, after they went to his hotel room, he forced her to give him head after they kissed.
I'm not forcing no girl to give me no head. That's what your teeth is, though. You know how strong their jaws is, though? Like, I'm not forcing anything in your mouth, bro.
So, right. So that came up.
You want to do it. Like, I'm not going to be like, you going to take this shit because you're going to be like, motherfucker, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So, here's the thing, right?
How does that work? How do you force a girl to give you head?
That was my first question.
Because she don't want to do it. I'm not sticking under
So,
your jaw.
my overall question is like, all right, so when this came out, the first Northam thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second, a week later, this Justin Fairfax thing, the guy who would have replaced him.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things in 2 weeks that came out. Is this a coincidence, or is the Virginia, I guess, Democratic cabinet right now being targeted? And it's a weird question, and it's kind of accusatory of the right, but I don't think that it's beyond like the right wing to dig up things like this or to try to accuse people, because
I think anything from your past is progressive ammunition to hurt your future. You know what I mean? Especially politics is some of the most cutthroat stuff in the world, man. They will expose shit you did 30 years ago to win a campaign against you. So
I kind of feel like I personally kind of feel like it was targeted. Not saying that these things aren't warranted and that they don't matter. They do matter, and I wish we had known them beforehand, right?
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, like, it's weird, and it gives me an uneasy feeling when I feel like, oh, we're being targeted, and targeted by who? The right. So it's weird, man.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Sheesh. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I guess let's read the statement Northam said. So this article is dated for Thursday. So I guess Friday is when he came out with this statement, because there was a black National Caucus that was calling for his resignment. Said he didn't want to resign. Earlier today, a website published a photograph of me. This is from Northam, Ralph Northam.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier today, a website published a photograph of me in my 1984 medical school yearbook in a costume that is clearly racist and offensive. I am deeply sorry for the decision I made to appear as I did in this photo, and for the hurt that decision caused then and now. You're sorry because they brought it up, motherfucker. You wasn't sorry before they brought it up.
Sorry because you got
If they
caught.
hadn't brought it up, you wouldn't have done about it.
If it hadn't been brought up now, there would have been no apology. This behavior is not in keeping with who I am today and the values I have fought for throughout my career in the military, in medicine, and in public service. But I want to be clear. I understand how this decision shapes Virginia's faith in that commitment. No shit, motherfucker. You was dressed in blackface or a KKK costume for fun. You know what I mean?
Like, bro, you know we're right.
Was this a Halloween costume? And it's even worse. Like, if this would have came out in 1990, it might not have been as bad as it is in 2019.
Yeah, true.
You know, this is bad, man. Especially to be in a public office like you are.
Recently elected.
It's one thing to be an executive of a company. You might still have to resign, because marketing is everything. But you're in a publicly elected office?
Representing a state.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Of different nationalities at that.
It's crazy.
It just happens to be a Confederate state.
It was.
Said Northam, a former pediatric neurosurgeon and Army doctor, won the governorship in 2017. While Northam has had a strong record on race-related issues and enjoyed broad African-American support during his political career, the photo putting Northam's political career on the brink also raises his uneasy past with racial issues. It was revealed during Northam's 2017 campaign, politics is so cutthroat, bro, that his family had owned slaves, and his alma mater, the Virginia Military Institute, still displays Confederate iconography. Damn, that was
him though.
But that was revealed in the campaign, and he still got elected. So
that's not on him though.
It's not. But you can see how
family.
You can see how his background would have influenced his decision.
Right, that decision. Right,
that's how you feel.
For him.
Right.
Like if that's how your family was, then you don't.
It's normal.
He didn't even know, or not know, but he didn't. It didn't phase him. Mm-hmm. Right. It was just a funny gag.
It's normal to him. Yeah, I mean, I guess. Damn, they brought that up in a campaign against him before he got elected. That his family owned slaves.
I'll be 100%.
He can't be a good governor. His family owned slaves.
I'll be 100% honest. I was watching the campaign. I didn't see that.
They don't say who brought it up or what.
I was following this, John. I did not see that one. But
like, it's just funny how they bring up all that stuff in the campaign and all that.
Like I said,
but it matters though.
This article is dated for Thursday.
It matters.
While Northam appeared Friday night to be committed to staying in his office, it seems as if the floor was quickly sliding out from under the second-year governor. In a very closely watched and important loss of support, the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus called on him to resign Friday night. So today is Sunday. They called him to resign Friday. So as of right now, he hasn't resigned. No. So damn. They said, the Virginia Black Caucus said, we just finished meeting with the governor. We fully appreciate all that he has contributed to our Commonwealth, but given what was revealed today, it is clear that he can no longer effectively serve as governor. It is time for him to resign so that Virginia can begin the process of healing. You know how racist Virginia is past Northern Virginia? Well, yeah, what healing are you talking about?
Healing, man.
Like, don't act that. They're a little bit overly sensitive.
Like I say, as long as, I mean, is the idiot in the White House is still in there, and he still has any kind of say in what's going on, and people are still hearing and listening to him, that's still going to be racist.
Do you believe that people can change? Yeah. Like, do you believe that there is a way he can be truly sorry that he took this picture so long ago?
I think that, honestly, I'll just say that I feel like, yeah, he's changed. Like, I'm not going to say he can't change, right? Like,
I don't know. It's been a long time. But I believe people can change.
Yeah, like, it's been a long time, and here's the thing, like, his record has been pretty progressive. Not progressive, definitely not progressive, but his record has been not racist, right? Like, he's had a pretty solid, like, record for, like, looking out for people of color. So, like, it's not that he's, like, he doesn't go above and beyond, right? He's not here, like, trying to back for reparations or anything, but, like, he's been straight, as opposed to, he's against gerrymandering and stuff like that. So, stuff like that is like, okay, well, he may, just because of this in the past doesn't mean he's against black people now. And that, then, if anything, that was a gag back then. It was a poorly chosen costume.
Yeah, people can.
And that apology, honestly, it was a pretty good apology. Like,
it was nice and long. It wasn't a quick little brush on the rug.
Yeah, and it wasn't like it wasn't anything like I feel sorry you feel offended by this. Like, no, he was like, I apologize. Like, I know this was wrong. Like, I shouldn't have done that. I feel bad about my decision back then. Right, and like, what more would you want from an apology? I do think he definitely should have stepped down.
He has to, right?
Yeah, I think he's only right.
But if he doesn't, like, I'm not about to start like protesting.
No, I don't think it's that. I hate to say it, it's not that serious. You know what I mean?
Right. You know, like, to the degree, like, if you ask me yes or no, like, yeah, you probably should
step down.
Yeah, you should step down. But am I about to go say anything, or am I about to write a letter? No.
Yeah, I think you should not a racist, but down, man. You know what I'm saying?
Later in the article, it says he's drawing condemnation from both parties. Republican leaders, Kellyanne Conway, White House counselor to President Donald Trump, as well as progressive leaders. The head of the NAACP demanded that Northam step down. Blackface in any manner is always racist and never okay, NAACP President Derek Johnson tweeted. No matter the party affiliation, we cannot stand for such behavior, which is why the NAACP is calling for the resignation of Virginia Governor Ralph Northam.
And I'm backing on that.
You know, I heard the NAACP was founded by a white guy.
Probably.
Is that true? I heard it was a Jew. What's his name? Schiff? Richard Schiff?
Probably.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Fine for me. It's cool.
Wow.
Whatever. So, I got an article here from earlier this week, the 20th. It's an update on how the article is called Poll. Northam approval sinks, but only 1 in 3 want resignation. So the intro says less than 20% of Virginia adults surveyed in a new poll released Wednesday approve of Ralph Northam's job performance. So less than 20% approve of his job performance, but only 1 in 3 want him to resign. It goes on to say that the poll found that 70% of those surveyed approve of Northam's job performance, and with 34% disapproving and 44% saying neither approved nor disapproved. They didn't have any opinion. And then later I saw.
Man, which is crazy, man. Like,
here. Wednesday's polling found that 35% of respondents said Fairfax should resign and 25% said he should not. Another 34% said they weren't sure. Only 8% of black respondents said Fairfax should step down, and 29% of black respondents said he should not. So that's kind of an interesting angle here, right? Like 8% of whoever the survey's poll number was.
So the thing with polls, they never tell you, like, do they specify how many people were polled?
They can't tell you. Well, they do a representative sample.
Right.
Right. So whatever number that is, that's who they polled, but they can't tell you who or.
And I think based upon those figures you just said, I think that the not sure number or the don't care number come from the fact that, like, not a lot of people are interested in politics. Is not pushed upon us, especially maybe in high school. Not like it should be. Not like it should be. I think there should be a political class you should take middle school, high school to kind of get you into wanting politics to vote and how to take an active role.
Knowing how to research.
Right, in the political process. Running. Right? Because I think a lot of people just don't care. Like, I damn sure know more about the Redskins than I do about my Virginia state government, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell you who's the new coach, well, probably not so much right now when the season heats up. You know what I mean? But, yeah, and it's just, you got to pique people's interest. And I think people are just not interested, man. Like, you know.
That weighs in how voting is and who wins and who loses because people just aren't interested, man.
Definitely.
But they don't. And it's by design. Like, I'll 100% guarantee it's by design that a vast majority of people are not interested in politics because you're interested in what you're presented with. And when you realize that these people in power or who are elected can change how the way your life works,
right?
Why wouldn't
you would take more of a vested interest?
Because people don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm looking at the founders of the NAACP. It's a dude by the name of W.E.B. Du Bois, historian, Pan-Africanist. He was the first African American to earn a doctorate.
Wrote the Soul of Black Folks.
No, not necessarily. Another one was a white chick. No, not. It was Idia B. Wells, African American newspaper editor. And she was involved with documenting lynching in the U.S.
These are founders of NAACP?
And another one was Archibald Grimke, a journalist, lawyer.
Now, if my folks name me Archibald, I'll be mad as hell.
They were Archibald, who served as vice president for the Ovations.
That's called me Bald.
This call me Archie, man. They don't call me Archibald.
This the Jewish dude here, Henry Moskowitz, a Jewish civil rights activist who later served as president in New York's Municipal Service. Civil Service Commissioner of Public Markets, and became executive director of the Blockway League.
Yeah.
Henry Moskowitz.
Okay.
Archibald.
Wasn't Moskowitz from Five of Those West?
That's Feifel.
Yeah, that's what that Five of Goes West, or the American Tale. Five Goes West. He was a Moskowitz.
Yeah.
But I hope for Ralph Northam's sake that he gets this figured out. I don't know if he's a good man or not. That's the problem with politicians. It's like it's hard to get to know them on a personal level. That's why Bernie Sanders is so like revolutionary. Like you say, he's holding a town hall meeting. He tries to stay on the level with the people where like you can comment on a town hall meeting that Bernie Sanders has, and you might get a response back. You know, maybe his moderators for his town hall meeting will respond back to something if you say something interesting. You know, like you can't get in touch with Ralph Northam. I guess you could if you tweet him. You know.
Yeah, he's not that big.
But it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think people don't relate to Ralph Northam. So why was Bernie Sanders such a hit? I think he was saying the right things. He was saying the things that people were thinking. Yeah, because like we were saying on the phone the other day, you look around, man, you can tell something's wrong in society, man. You can just tell because people are broke everywhere, and you know, I'm sure there's a whole class of people who have no money problems that a lot of us don't know anything about. No money problems, right? But you can tell something's wrong, man. Like it's like an open secret that politicians lie. People know it in the back of their mind,
or that they're bought off.
Yeah, like right. Or that they're paid for.
Yeah,
we
everybody knows.
But we kind of just well, that's just the way it is.
Like we have evidence, we have proof, we have that Harvard, we have that Harvard study still that says that America's run like an oligarchy.
Look what they did.
People with money control things.
Look what they did. They give people, $30 million windfalls to resign, to retire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. They buy them off.
Or the lobbyists, the opening and closed door, the revolving door of lobbyists to politics. Like
the revolving door.
Yeah, you stop being a politician, you go to lobbying, and then when you want to be a politician, you go back in. And then who's paying you?
What other politicians were saying the word oligarchy before Bernie Sanders was? People didn't even know what the definition of that word was before Bernie Sanders was saying that joint.
Exactly.
The oligarchy. Like, I'm sitting here struggling to pay my bills.
Billionaires and millionaires.
But you got executives who resign from a chairman position at some company and they get $36 million to resign,
Yep.
It's like, man, how much money can one man be worth? And you look around, you're like, man, something's wrong, man. Like, we're broke. And you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, man. Like, when you look at all the economic update and whatnot, and they just say that things are getting worse. Like, people are not buying as much, people are not spending, people rather hold on to what money they have. Jobs are not hiring.
That stuff like that makes our economy stagnant.
Right.
Like stuff like that is why the economy is scrunched up like it is.
You don't see scary
they say it's
numbers?
growing, and the states say under Trump that the economy is growing, but they're not saying like it's growing for people who own giant stocks in these
I'm sure in some places it is.
Yeah, but it's not growing for the average middle class American who's not making any money. When your company gets money, the average Joe's not getting anything.
Right.
We're getting fired.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, I was talking on the phone. I was like, when you work for 1 hour and they pay you what they pay you for 1 hour, you might have stocked $20,000 worth of merchandise for them, for that store, for that company. But they won't pay you $20,000 in a half a year, 6 months, 7 months. You stock that in 1 hour. So it's like, man, and I think, like we always say, people just want to be happy and have enough to provide for their family and live a comfortable life.
Right.
But man, you got people making millions and billions of dollars, and then your political system is bought off, and they choke Bernie Sanders out of the presidential race. And like I said, man, we were talking about before, this presidential race is going to be really telling, man, especially if Bernie runs, because you see the kind of support he had.
Right. What did it say?
He gets choked out.
In his first day running from small dollar donation, he raised $4 million.
Right.
$1 million from small dollar donations, which threw him so far ahead of. So the next person who made nearly as much was Kamala Harris, who made $1.5 million. He made $4 million from small donation with people contributing when the first day they found out he was running.
Because he was saying things that people were thinking, man.
And he's been consistent.
But it makes you wonder how effective would he be when he gets in the office, though?
I don't know.
Like, how effective is Northam? I want to hear some of Northam's campaign speeches before he was elected as governor.
The only reason I voted for Northam was because the guy that won it, Perriello, he didn't make it through the convention, through the Democratic primary. Because he was a progressive. He was sounding like Bernie. He was talking about wage hikes, and he was talking about Medicare and everything for everybody. So he was a progressive.
Politics is a catchy game, man. It's crazy.
That all that talk they do about.
You know what's a scary number? When you look at our national debt, you know what I mean? Like when you start talking about the national debt, and that goes in trillions, and you're like, this country is trillions of dollars in debt. Like, how can anybody
trillion?
So how can like Jeff Bezos be worth $300 billion or whatever the fuck he's worth
and not get taxed for it?
Right. You're talking about cutting taxes.
Make record profits with no taxes.
The country is broke. They said every time the Fed prints $1, Federal Reserve prints $1, they owe like 32 cents on every dollar or something like that. It's crazy. I don't know if it's 32 cents. I don't know if it's that high.
Here's the thing, though. Like, so
they
you know
the
how they talk about
debt increases like $4 billion a day.
But here's the thing. Does it matter?
I don't think it does. Because at the end of the day, who's going to pay that money?
Here's the thing. Because every time a Democratic president is in power, he decreases the national debt a significant amount. And all that time, every time it happens, the Republicans yell about how dangerous the national debt is. Oh, we have so much national debt. Oh, what are we going to do about our national debt? As soon as the Republicans are in power, happened with Bush Sr., happened with Bush Jr., happened with Trump, obviously. The national debt explodes under every single one of them.
Right.
And the whole time, they don't even mention the national debt. So that goes to the argument of, well, wait a minute. How much does this national debt situation really matter?
Right.
When, it's only used as a political tool to bash the left side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're creating national debt. Oh, we don't have money for this. You know what I've heard recently from about whole Bernie Sanders thing was, we don't have money for Medicare for all. Look at our national debt. When Trump just gave every corporation a massive tax cut, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars that they just didn't have to pay into taxes.
And we should go
if it mattered, they would have said something then, but they didn't say anything about national debt.
We need help paying this debt. You know what I mean? Like, I can't.
You can drop some of that money.
Let's be reasonable, right?
It doesn't matter. The national debt, I'm going to say, I don't think the national debt actually matters. I think it's just a tool. It's a political tool.
I think also because the number is so freaking high, you might be right, because it's never going to be paid back. You're never going to pay back $27 trillion. How are you going to pay that back?
For what?
That's ridiculous. Like, yeah, exactly. Who's going to pay that back?
Who are we paying it to?
They said something like, if they broke it down, like every citizen, if the Federal Reserve called in their debt today for America, every citizen would owe like $27,400 or some shit like that. Every single person in the U.S.
Good luck with that, because we can't even afford childcare.
Bro,
So, you know what I'm saying?
Who even got $5,000 in their bank account right now?
Right,
you know
nobody. Like, was it nationally? They said
$5,000.
They said like 90% of Americans can't afford a $700 emergency. Like if some shit went down, you need $700.
And the only way you can afford it is to go into more debt. You gotta go get a credit card. Right. So it's scary, man.
And that's what people got. That's why people like Bernie Sanders, because of that angst, right? That
he's the only politician to bring up the national debt.
Brings that.
He wasn't the only one, but he was talking about relevant stuff, man. Like. Yeah. This country is broke. Like, people are not stupid.
You're like, you need healthcare, you need food, you need education, you need a wage that you can live off of. He says, my favorite line he says is, if you work 40 hours a week, you shouldn't be living in poverty. You shouldn't be hungry. You should be able to have a house. You should be able to live. If you work 40 hours a week,
right?
Why can't you have a home?
And it's funny because everything runs off debt. Now you see why, like, the national debt is so high. Everything is debt. You can't own a house without going into debt. You can't own a car without going into debt.
Credit card, you have
right?
Debt.
You need a line of credit. You know, like I'm trying to get this car next week. I was talking to my brother-in-law. He said, "Man, well, you never had a credit card." He's like, "Your credit score is registering as like 0 or something. Like I don't have any credit." You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I definitely ran into that, John.
So I'm like, well, what the fuck? I mean, like, so you're telling me my payment is going to be higher because they don't know if I'm going to pay them back or not? Isn't it a good thing?
So you got to create debt to get good credit.
They got to create debt for them to say, okay, he's going to pay us back. I don't want no damn debt. You know what I mean? That's why I never had it.
Unfortunately, this country is made to survive by having debt.
Yeah.
It's great.
And in Europe, it's not like this.
When you start looking at
Claudine's talking about when she comes here. When she came here, she was like, "What? Credit cards? You mean I have to pay? Like what? I don't have to actually pay?" Like people come from Europe and it's like, that's crazy because it doesn't work like that over there, especially in Belgium, right?
So they don't have like so the financial industry.
You put money on a card, like it's your bank card.
That's what you use.
That's what you.
So credit is not so big.
It's not like you can get a credit card, but it's not something that's thrown at you in every junk mail you get.
Right. They throw it at you all the time.
Here's a credit card.
Take some debt.
You sure you want some credit cards?
Debt right there.
Got some credit cards.
Yeah, I was gonna say something while we was on camera, but I forgot what it was.
My bad.
It's scary though, man. It's scary.
They always try to see that credit card thing, but you know what I'm saying, trying to get you to have a credit card, a secure credit card, or whatever.
And I know we got on this from Ralph Northam, but hopefully Bernie Sanders.
I want to talk about Bernie anyway.
Man, shoot, I don't even care too much to hear from him.
Because we were supposed to reference the list of presidential candidates for 2020.
It does, man. But like a lot of times, like I said, they all sound freaking same to me. You know, they just all sound like when they campaigning, they say the same darn things, and like, yeah, we still trying to get to that point now. If they say something gets worse, we run into some other problems here. We got other stuff being cut back to do all this and all that. So like jobs, like I said, they raise them, you know, minimum wage, but even still, $15, you can't live off that.
Yeah,
you can't live off $15. You can't barely live off $16. You barely getting by with $17.
Yeah, but it matters though, because the fact that they moved the Overton window, like they're moving the overall view of the country. Because the last election, when Bernie was talking about $15 an hour, like the Democrats were laughing at him. Like everybody was laughing at him talking about $15 an hour.
People was like,
they were like, maybe we'll do 12, maybe we'll do 10, right? Maybe we'll make that the minimum wage. But now everybody's talking about $15 an hour. That's like, so the people running do matter. Before Medicare for all, people were laughing at Bernie. They were like, Medicare for all, that's ridiculous.
Which is why
now
also,
every Democratic candidate right now, and this is 2 years later, every Democratic candidate right now has Medicare for all in their platform. Now, whether or not they actually mean it is another thing. That's why I say Bernie, because we know he's about that.
Right.
I personally don't think he's faking, because he's been yelling this before we even knew who he was, right? But now it's commonplace. Everybody's saying we want Medicare for all now. It's going to be part of my plan, my pledge.
He has a great shot to actually be president. I think
he's got the people on his side.
This is going to be a very telling election, man.
Yeah,
I kind of can't wait to see what happens.
Like, it's going to be like establishment fight him.
Mm-hmm.
I think they already are, because
Washington
Post hates him.
Oh, I can't wait to see the sex tape that leaks with Bernie Sanders in it or something like that. You know they're gonna come up with something.
You know what I'm saying? Sexual harassment. They already tried to pin him with. They already tried to pin him with sexual harassment. Not him, but his campaign.
Bernie drugged a girl back in 1974 and shit. You know what I mean? He gave her a sleeping pill. She's gonna come out 45 years later. Bernie Sanders violated me or some shit. What did that happen though? I would not even be surprised. I'd be like, yeah, this is the way it goes. This is how they destroy people's careers and.
He grabbed my titty and
right. This is how I was like. I would not even be surprised, dog.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, and you know what the funny thing is, the crazy thing to me is that ever since who did they start this with? They started with Trump when he got in office. They started bringing up all his dirt, but then next thing after that, I mean, it was such a crazy spike in accusations on everybody in politics, and even in the entertainment world. I said Cosby, what's the name?
Dude from the
Russell Simmons.
Oh, Russell Simmons. I forgot about that. Man.
Even Harvey Weinstein, the dude.
Obi Weiner. What's his name? Weinstein. Yeah. I've never seen. I mean, ever since he got in there, all of a sudden.
Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity.
Bill O'Reilly, yeah.
That was nasty.
I was like, it's crazy to me how all of a sudden accusations are coming up from the forefront from people for years ago. I mean, 20, 30 years ago, when none of this was an issue before in politics.
One thing with those is, why the hell does it take 20 or 30 years to come up with? You know what I mean? Like, if you felt violated, why you gonna wait 30 years to say something about how you felt violated 30 years ago?
So I can answer. I'll say that the reason they say that is because
don't tell
they weren't believed, and yeah, they're afraid because one, you're going against a person with power. All these people have power back then, and first off, who had a team of lawyers? So a lot of these women, they're saying they didn't feel like they were believed. Mm-hmm. Then when this Harvey Weinstein, this Bill O'Reilly, all these things came up,